welcome to the next in our series of interviews to do with the captain's table. The focus of this one today is to talk to one of our long-term supporters and sponsors, Lloyds Register, and I'm delighted that Matt Treadwell from Lloyds Register is here to join us today. Matt currently is the UKI lead for shipping markets and zero carbon solutions, so absolutely the connection between what Matt's looking after and what we're trying to do in the captain's table is a brilliant synergy. But look, let me ask Matt, maybe thank you and welcome. A few words from you. Who are you? What you do? A bit of some insights would be great, Matt.
Yeah, no, thanks, Chris. So within Lloyds, I'm typically looking at more the strategic projects where we're bringing together the sort of the non-traditional clients and working with technology developers, the financiers, the designers, the yards, etc. And what we need to remember is in the maritime industry, everything is connected. And what we're seeing at the moment is that we can learn so much from other industries which we haven't really trialed yet within maritime. And also with the digital evolution, Industry 4.0, it's been a big disruptor in this sector. So looking at digitalization, how can that sort of optimize what we currently have? And what I thought was great about the captain's table is that you're always looking at the issues which are the main challenges within the industry and bringing together those entrepreneurs where they're thinking outside the box, challenging the industry, and doing it in on a platform which you can validate immediately with the audience, with the various different stakeholders, of how much value their products have. So we've seen some of the great examples of winners to date, and also there have been a number of those that haven't been winners, but because it's provided them with a great platform, they've gone out there and they've been making a great success, and this is what we need more of. We need to get more financiers involved in these kind of initiatives, because one is the initial product, but in order to scale it to address the whole shipping industry, this is a huge issue as well. So within LR, I would say I've got the fun part, because I'm dealing with a lot of this new stuff that's coming forward, and just seeing how it sort of connects with everything else, and highlighting the value to the various different stakeholders. So no, absolutely, I love it, it's been an absolute privilege being involved with the captain's table to support that. So yeah.
That's fantastic, Matt. And look, it's been brilliant to have your support since the get-go. I think we're in our 4th year, and albeit I think the only time you and I have been in the same place at the same time was in the 1st year, but that's nothing to do with us and everything to do with what's happened in the world since.
Exactly, yeah.
Look, I'd love to get your views on what are you seeing as some of the challenges. Obviously, this year we've got a number of categories that we're asking entrants to think about: decarbonisation, smart ports, voyage optimization, indeed, software as a solution, sustainability, education, training are the 6 categories. What are you seeing, Matt, in terms of some of the big maybe challenges that the maritime sector is either facing currently or that's coming down the tracks?
So the biggest unknown at the moment is, what is the future fuel?
Okay.
So one is what is the fuel of the future? Is it available in the areas of operation to the quantities required? Then, obviously, as we said earlier about how everything is connected, one is about being aware of the various different types of fuels that can help with us in terms of the decarbonisation requirements. So having transparency in terms of availability of fuel, quality of fuels, etc., to then the training element of the competencies required. So, typically dealing with oil or fuels, is different to dealing with gas. You're going to have different risks on board if you're going from ammonia as fuel to methanol as fuel, whether it's LNG or whether it's hydrogen. So there's a magnitude of challenges just within this energy transition. So all those points that you mentioned in terms of the focus areas are all going to have a huge part to play in the overall energy transition as we're going forward. So it'll be quite interesting to sort of see, who's thinking ahead, who's thinking a bit more broader and a bit more forward thinking in how to get messages across, how to train, how to provide the right solutions to enable this energy transition to be effective, because we don't have time. And we need to really think and do something about the environment yesterday. But so yeah, no, so that is the biggest challenge at the moment in the industry.
Okay, and that's really interesting, because we hear a lot about sort of voyage optimization and thinking about getting obviously from point A to point B as quickly and as cost effectively as possible, but the challenge of that often is that it increases the cost because of the burn rate. So actually, if you then think about where do the new fuels come in, and whether that is, and I referred to this earlier, this slightly romantic notion I have that we have big sales on vessels again. Where does the future take us? It's a really exciting place. In terms of the solutioning that you would like to see, or maybe you're seeing elsewhere, we've seen a balance in the last few years of sort of more conceptual ideas than actual ideas, if I can use those two descriptive terms. From your perspective, do you think the sector is looking for more of the tangible, this is it, this is the difference it makes, or do you still think there's an appetite for concept?
One of the biggest challenges, I think, with companies actually investing in the technologies is the validation of the performance of the technology itself.
Yeah,
it's very difficult to simulate the exact conditions that post modification to had you have done nothing at all.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is where the digitalization side of things come in, because if in essence you're able to create a ship model pre and post modification and apply a number of sensors to capture the same conditions when the vessel's post modification to relay on the pre modification to get a true impact assessment, that would be great. Now, the next challenge is that normally when a vessel goes to dry dock, there's probably going to be two or more options that they're going to go for in terms of helping to reduce fuel consumption. And the first is always going to be the coatings. There's so many coatings out there, and they vary in terms of its resistance, etc., which helps fuel savings. To then maybe going for wind assist devices or air lubrication device systems. So how do you then narrow down those percentages to each technology that's on board the ship? Yeah. So it's a big ask or a big challenge, but the challenge is the opportunity. So it's still an opportunity for people to really get in there, but it comes back as well, understanding why is it that the vessels need to get from A to B as quickly as possible. And it comes back to the charterers, because vessels make money when they're at port. They don't make money when the vessel's at sea. So for them, it's important to get that vessel from A to B as quickly as possible, because then that's when they can make the next round of money. Now, so you've got to think about, well, okay, most of the solutions today, people have gone down the route of reducing your Shapley, your ratings, so basically your slow steaming.
Yep.
And when you look at some of the digitalization solutions where it's just in time, for example, where you are able to see if there's a delay at the port and therefore potentially slow down, because then you can go straight into your slot when you arrive. You need the buy-in of everybody. You need the buy-in of the port to not sort of give your slot away if you're not already there, etc. So how do you create an ecosystem where everybody's on board? And this is why it comes back to regulation. Regulation is the one that's pushing for it. And so that's why, you know, we're seeing so much innovation coming out from so many different areas, which is great because we're seeing, you know, a real change in the industry, a good step change. So it's, yeah, I mean, a prime example, COVID, the pandemic, that has really sped things up in terms of remote inspection. You know, we had not had the pandemic, the remote inspection requirements would have taken a lot longer.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
We've just got to be a little bit more agile, a little bit more open-minded, but also collaborate much more.
Which in an industry that is so many hundreds and hundreds of years old, of course, is the old adage of how long does it take to turn a container ship. Matt, I'm very conscious of time, and your time in particular. I welcome just your thoughts, please, and more final thoughts. Two questions, I suppose. One is, you know, we're in our 4th year of working together, which is fantastic, and I'm really keen just to get your views on the and you alluded to this earlier, sort of real power of the captain's table. And then following on from that is any sort of words of advice to startups who are looking to enter into the maritime sector.
So yeah, I would say for any startup in that's looking to enter the sector, or even a startup that's already from the sector, I would say do your homework, speak to whoever you've already got in terms of your network. If you don't have access to the network, you can find ways into that network. Don't give up. You know, there are solutions out there that can support your innovation, your entrepreneurship. Just keep pushing. Be open-minded. You know, Captain's Table is a great example where you can bring together the various different stakeholders to making it work, and you know, can be life-changing for the individuals as well. So if you believe in your idea, you need to push it. You need to be, you know, shouting it from the rooftops. Just don't give up, because this industry is lacking new generations coming into the industry, and because if we're lacking talent coming into the industry, we're not going to be able to take on the next round of challenges within the industry, because we're going to be so behind in terms of our thinking and methodologies and taking advantage of what's out there. So just be brave, put it out. And what's really great is exactly what you do as well with the Captain's Table is you support and sponsor them to really make sure they get the message across in their small time that they have, which is very important. So you know, the coaching that goes on behind the scene is absolutely amazing. So, and that's all credit to you, Chris.
Very kind, thank you, Matt. I can't take it all, but thank you on behalf of the team. Thank you. Look, we are out of time, Matt, and it's been a pleasure as always to catch up. And thank you for your time today. Good luck, and have a very pleasant weekend when it arrives.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.